Welcome back. You're still tuned into Trading Hour, and let's get you a corporate conversation now. I want to invite the management of Century Ply. We have Keshav Bhajanka, who's Executive Director at Century Plyboards, joining us to really get a sense of how demand is looking for them and how the second half of the year could look in terms of the performance. Keshav, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us. This is Pavitra. First off, just give us a sense of what the demand has looked like. I mean, we're talking about this big sort of increase in home demand, right? And real estate demand really picking up. So I want to see if that's translated as well. And just take us through what you've seen in Q3 so far since we're well into the quarter.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I think that, yes, demand uptake is being witnessed to a certain extent. But I think there is a slight need to err on the side of caution in the short term. The reason being our products come into play a little later. Our products come into play when the journey from house to a home begins. So it's not really so much during the construction of a building as it is during when the homeowner starts furnishing the house or the flat or what might be. So I think for us, the medium term and the long term demand is going to be very robust. As you can see, products that are in the slightly earlier, in the building material phase, they are doing very, very well. So we're bullish, and fortunately, we have our new capacity coming up in Andhra Pradesh, which will aid to that growth substantially.
But just elaborate a little bit more on why we need to be cautious in the near term, but.
So I think there is a slight mismatch between current inventory and new launches. New launches are taking time because I think nobody expected the sort of boom in the real estate cycle, especially residential real estate, that we have seen in the recent past. For the past 2-3 years, it's been fantastic for all of us. Now the new inventories have started to hit the market, but I think we'll feel the full benefit of that, say 6 months, 9 months down the line. So I think we're still in the final completion stages of a lot of new launches. When that translates into the hands of the property owners, and when that journey starts to make it into a home, that is when companies like us will see a lot of benefit.
So is there any way, Keshav, to quantify the current demand-supply mismatch, to put it simply?
I think that, one way is that you see products that are slightly earlier in the stage and the robust growth that they are witnessing. And then you can perhaps extrapolate that 12 months hence for products like ours, and you'll see a reasonable...
No, in terms of maybe the inventory that you're sitting on, which is not getting utilized because the journey from house to home will only take place, say, 6 months later. So are you sitting on excess inventory right now?
Yes, I think the entire real estate cycle is sitting on a lot of uncompleted inventory. I think if you go into the data, there is a record low for the past 7-8 years in the available inventory that is unsold. So that gives you a sense that, there is going to be a healthy, robust demand. It's just about when the supply hits.
Okay, Keshav, since you are sounding a little bit cautious, at least on the near term, let me ask you both, for FY24, you had provided some guidance in terms of what we can expect in the volume growth. Do you think that is something that you can still achieve? And also then in FY25, because you are saying that things will get better in, 6 to 9 months, how much of an improvement will we see in the next year?
So I think we're definitely going to achieve our guidance, if not perhaps, a little better. But FY25, the growth is going to be far more robust. So I think that we are going to be pretty much at or maybe slightly better than the guidance we have given. But yes, next year we are expecting far more robust growth.
So, help me with some numbers. So, of course, ply is your, biggest component. This year, for example, you're expecting around 13% in terms of volume growth. How much better will it be next year? Because you are expecting, that next cycle to come in next year.
So I think, this year we have given that we'll be double-digit plus. But next year, you can look at it being substantially higher. So we'll be targeting a 15% in terms of value growth for the next year.
You're targeting 15% this year also?
This year, we have revised our targets to 10%.
Okay. Okay, and just can you revise tell us the guidance for plywood is 10% value growth, was 15%.
Yes.
Got it. And laminate, it was 25% volume and value. Now?
Laminates in the second half of the year, because our new capacity in Andhra Pradesh was supposed to be launched in H1. Unfortunately, is now being launched in H2. So we have revised guidance to double-digit plus in the second half of the year. MDF, we have revised our guidance to 25% plus from 20%, which was there earlier.
Okay, so MDF is revised higher, plywood is revised lower, and even laminate, where you were looking at a 20% plus, now you're saying double-digit. So between 10 and 20, so revised lower. What about margin guidance? The margin guidance that we have with us, plywood was 12 to 14%, laminate 12 to 14%, MDF 20 to 25%. Is there any change to that? And also timber prices in Q3?
Timber prices have remained largely stable over the course of the last quarter. As you know, they were on a continuous increase for the past year or so. In terms of margins, we're pretty much on track. For H2 of the current year, plywood will be on track, laminates will be on track, MDF will be on track, particle board will be on track.
Okay, Keshav, thanks a lot. We are going to leave it at that today, but all the best, and hopefully we will have you back on soon to really get a sense of how that next cycle is panning out that you did speak about. That is the management of Century Ply. By the way, this month has been quite good for the stock. Today, of course, it's absolutely flat, but this month has seen the stock rise almost 20%. So that is the word coming in from the management. We are going to get into a short break, but on the other side, we'll focus on the IT sector. It's up over 3.5% just today. We'll get you a note from Nirmal Bang on what they have to say about the sector and this big outperformance that we're seeing in the recent past.